Welcome to Meme-ology 1. I put these memes and videos together to help people to find a new perspective on things that they perhaps often automatically think or are being told by people in authority figures. That could be parents, that could be people at school, that could be religious leaders. And my wish with these is not to create frustration or obstruction, but to only help people notice another possibility, to help people see that there might be another way of looking at a situation, and also, most importantly, to help people see that there is help out there and that there is solutions for problems. Enjoy. The first relationship that we are in is the one with ourselves, and we often forget that we are in constant conversation with ourselves. And everything happens in our thoughts first. So if we are unhappy, we must investigate what is the thoughts that we are having, and secondly, what is true about those thoughts. So it's not a fact that thoughts are facts. So I want to invite you to reconsider what you think you believe and what you believe about your thinking. When it comes to behavior and relationships and thoughts, I would like people to dare a little bit more, not to look for symptomatic relief. We do live in a very instant world, but I do know for sure that symptomatic relief never really leads to a solution. So dare to dig deeper, dare to look at what scares you, dare to find the actual cause of the problem and solve that, because I know, I have seen in 30 years of work with people that that is where the real joy, the real success, and the real solutions lie. One of the three biggest issues that I deal with in my practice is relationships. The other two, anxiety and depression, often caused by relationships. I want to allude you to a small clue about what people experience in relationships and often make it null and void, often dismiss it as, it's nothing, he or she is just in a bad mood. But it is the issue of invalidation. When your partner or your parent invalidates what you say, think, feel, and believe, it is reason for you to investigate the health of that relationship. When we are young, we all dream about being in a fantasy or romantic relationship with somebody. And yes, it is probably the most amazing thing to have a true connection with somebody and really be a healthy partner to another human being. However, I have to issue a warning. When we are in relationship with somebody and they are not as invested as you are, you need to rethink the relationship before it continues, because a relationship are the single biggest risk you can take. Who we spend our time with can ultimately destroy not only just your life, but the children you might be having with that person. And yes, no matter how horrible that sounds, it is indeed never too late to devise an exit strategy, something that I have unfortunately and also fortunately have helped many people with, whether they were married for 10, 15, or just like this morning, 28 years of marriage. It is far better to exit than to stay in a relationship. It is far more important for your children's health to not be an enabler, to reclaim your worth so they can learn that from you, to close the door on abuse. When we are young, we all dream about being in a fantasy or romantic relationship with somebody. And yes, it is probably the most amazing thing to have a true connection with somebody and really be a healthy partner to another human being. However, I have to issue a warning. When we are in relationship with somebody and they are not as invested as you are, you need to rethink the relationship before it continues, because a relationship are the single biggest risk you can take. who we spend our time with can ultimately destroy not only just your life, but the children you might be having with that person. And yes, no matter how horrible that sounds, it is indeed never too late to devise an exit strategy, something that I have unfortunately and also fortunately have helped many people with, whether they were married for 10, 15, or just like this morning, 28 years of marriage. It is far better to exit than to stay in a relationship. It is far more important for your children's health to not be an enabler, to reclaim your worth so they can learn that from you, to close the door on abuse. As unbelievable as this sounds, there are still people who tolerate behavior that are not good for them and who still do not know what behavior is actually emotional abuse. So it is really important that we use the information that is so freely available to get to know the realities of what abuse is, because knowledge is power in this case specifically, because the more you become aware of what's really going on, the better you can arm yourself against it, and if need be, to plan a way out. And when I say that, I always feel so bad, because I don't want people to think that I am pro-divorce or pro just packing up and leaving, but I cannot also condone or promote the concept of staying in a psychologically dysfunctional environment, especially when you have children. And remember, if you choose to stay for the sake of the kids, you're also choosing to stay, and you are becoming a co-responsible person for the pain and suffering and trauma that these children will be growing up with. And I know that is a heavy thing to say, but it is something seriously important to think about. You are not doing anything honorable by exposing them to abuse, because it takes years and years of deep, hard, and expensive, intense work to heal from childhood trauma. Many psychologists and therapists are not aware of the reality of complex trauma. Complex trauma can be something like growing up in a family of dysfunction, or in a home where neglect or substance abuse or violence, even verbal violence, impacted on the development of a child. The problem is, it doesn't just happen in childhood, it also occurs for adults. So do not think, oh, it sounds so dramatic, complex trauma, when in fact it can physically make you ill. So educate yourself, read up about it, compare the facts around it, and see if this is not something you should give attention to, because it is never too late to get help for this. Every time I bring up the subject of being codependent, whether it is with a friend, a client, a colleague, I feel the cringe on the inside, because people don't like a label, and no, nor do I, but it is often important to have a diagnosis in order to be able to help the person work in a specific direction to resolve a problem. Another way of thinking about codependency is to call it self-love deficit disorder. And I really truly feel that this definition is by far more realistic and a lot more kind, because that's exactly what's going on. A person who is codependent puts other people first. A lot of women that I work with say, but that's how they were brought up. That's what you're supposed to do. And that's exactly also where generation after generation things are perpetuated. Women don't learn that their kids are more capable than they think. Women don't learn that their partner can also function independently. So it's really a very dangerously widespreading situation if we do not question our own level of enabling and our own level of our own invalidation and our own lowering of our self-worth and heightening that of other people. In the eyes of our Creator, I do believe we are all equal, and it is important to allow people to do for themselves what they are capable of. Especially young children, we really do too much for them, and yes, I get in trouble for saying that. A mother often enjoys lavishing love on her kids, doing things for them because she loves them, And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the dangers of enabling somebody to not become who they're capable of being, or to do things for other people that they can do for themselves, or take responsibility for things that are not your fault. The problem is children look and learn, and they also learn from us how to behave either healthily or unhealthily in a relationship. And the patterns that we form for our children becomes their adult lives. So I invite parents to think about their own levels of codependency, enabling, and also their lack of self-love. We can really change the world into a far better and healthier place if we teach our children and model to them what balanced, healthy self-love is. Further expansion on the subject of codependency or self-love deficit disorder is often the lack of healthy, firm, and consistent boundaries that are logical, rational, and fair. So I added this short list of what boundaries sound like. However, I must say, if you want to learn more about it, I have an 8-page questionnaire that you can fill in to help you see the level of emotional health or enablement or codependency that you may be dealing with. And it's also a great tool to help people to see where the line of health lies for them. And this questionnaire is for free. You are welcome to email me at hello@justfrida.com. I'd be more than happy to send you the questionnaire and also answer any questions that you may have about it. Thank you for spending your time on this slideshow. I hope it was informational and helpful. Remember that I am available on Zoom, on Skype, and I deal with trauma, depression, anxiety, relationship issues, coaching, as well as counseling, therapy. Feel free to contact me. I am registered with most medical aids in South Africa, so you are welcome to drop me a line and ask questions. And if you have any other inquiries, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you.